right, now again, we are not going to talk about spoilers for this. We are just going to talk about the news for it. Now, in case you haven't known, Morbius has been released after many delays. Of course, the official delay or the official release would be on April Fool's, right? You can also check out my review. It is posted on my channel right now. And, it's no secret. I did not particularly care for this movie. It does have some, decent things in it. But it's not, it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's just not. Like my biggest issue is the fact that some things literally just don't make sense. Like they just don't make sense. And it was insulting. I know some people are okay with just being entertained, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But I find it insulting when you just do certain things in the movie and act like we're supposed to act like it makes sense when it doesn't. So and again, like that might not bother other people. That's okay. Illogical nonsense is like a pet peeve for me. So if something doesn't add up and it's a plot hole, that's a problem for me. I don't like that. It's irritating. Like the way they try to connect this with the previous MCU movies or whatever, with No Way Home and stuff like that, it literally makes no sense. It's a direct contradiction. Everything in the post-credit scene is stupid because it literally is just like, we just threw this in there. So now, with that said, you can still find entertainment in it because, like I told y'all before, I like the visuals. The visuals were cool, except it got a little overdone with it, with all the clouds or whatever they were doing. And I've always said that, of course, y'all should still go watch the movie and make up your own mind 100%. Don't just take my word for it. Figure it out yourself. I would just recommend either watch it as a matinee, $5 Tuesday, or stream it. So like I've told y'all a lot of the red flags for this before. One of the red flags was that this movie was releasing, I'm sorry, they did the screening like the same day or the day before the actual release. That's not a good sign. The press was not all that good for this movie. So at some point you got to realize, like, even the studio was not that confident in this movie. The studios, they know when they have a hit on their hands. And I think another bad sign, y'all see how Marvel, and I hate to always use Marvel, but sorry, they are leading the charge right now in superhero movies. Y'all saw how Marvel was when it came to spoilers, right? They made a whole thing about not spoiling Spider-Man No Way Home or anything like that, right? But what did Sony do? Sony literally had the director of Morbius go on Cinema Blend on Twitter and spoil the movie. They just spoiled the movie. It was just like, yep, this happens. Yep, that happens. Oh, this, yeah. Yep, all of that. How are you confident in a movie, but you're spoiling the entire thing? I've never seen something like that happen before. Never. Like, even for some of the worst movies, they still at least try to maintain some level of secrecy to still get you in to the theaters, right? This dude was just like, nah, man. Yeah, that shows up. Yeah, that happens. Uh-huh. Yup. And then to make matters worse, they lied to y'all. And y'all remember I told you that I don't have a problem with No Way Home. No Way Home's trailers were misleading, right? They were misleading in the sense that, maybe they erase somebody, but then they show them later and all that stuff. But they done changed stuff up. They promised you all these MCU connections and stuff, and then they changed it. They changed it. The Vulture was gonna be all up in it, and they changed all that too. I don't even want to read like what happens in this because I feel like it's kind of spoilery. I mean, it's from the director. The director don't care, but All them little MCU connections and stuff, they changed that. Now, some people might be under the impression that this is something coming from Marvel or whatever. I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that Marvel is like, hey, you can't take our characters and blah 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 blah. I don't think that's true. Um, I think that you have to look at it from a business perspective. Marvel came in and made 3 Spider-Man movies for you where you didn't do so well with 3 Spider-Man movies. Your first 2 with the GOAT, Toby, were great. Your third one failed. Your Amazing Spider-Man was okay. Your second Amazing Spider-Man was disappointing. So that was 3 failures right there. Then Marvel came in to step in to help you. And by the way, Marvel tried to help you with Amazing Spider-Man 2, according to the Sony email leaks. They tried to help y'all back then, but y'all ignored everything they said. Y'all ignore them. Kevin Feige gave them free advice on how to make Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 good, and Sony ignored all of it. It was like, yeah, we don't need your advice, and your movie didn't do too hot. So then, Marvel comes in and makes 3 movies: Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, and they're setting records with these things. They make you a good couple 800 million here. They make you another billion there. Then they making you another billion there. You have to think about, what if that was your company? What if you were running Sony? If you were running Sony and you had to go up to your shareholders and be like, look at all this money we just made. And they look back at you and be like, yeah, with Marvel's help, why do we need you here? You could see how that might strike the ego a little bit. So don't be surprised if a lot of the decision making is more so like, nah, we got this. We don't need Marvel's help. We got this because we're going to create our own Sony Marvel universe that shouldn't need the crutch of the MCU. I think that's what's going on. I don't know for sure, but I would not be surprised, because you don't want somebody else coming in and running your own company for you, or outshining you in your own playground. That's not something, that's not a good look. How you going to get your little CEO bonus? So I think that that's the case. Now for the fans, I think it matters that we just get the best product. I don't care who makes the movie. I don't care if it's Sony. I don't care if it's Marvel. I'm just here for the good movie. Give me the good product. However y'all want to do it, however y'all want to split up the money, I don't care. Just give me the right stuff. So that brings us to this other news. Morbius's opening night box office is half of Venom 2. Yikes. 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 All right. So first Venom made like $800 million. Second Venom, which to this day I will stand on, is trash. I don't say that with a lot of movies. That's a trash movie. That came out at least during the pandemic, like when it was a little bit higher. We are a little bit out of the pandemic. We're moving forward, and you can't even beat that. And to be honest, because I know a lot of people are asking, like, which one is better, Venom 2 or Morbius? Personally, I would say Morbius is better than Venom 2. I'm telling you, Venom 2 is terrible. It is such a terrible movie on so many levels. Morbius is a little bit better than that. And yeah, Lonnie, I'm right there with you. I feel real bad for Jared Leto. But at the same time, if I'm Jared Leto, I'm like, it's like I feel bad because he's not the issue in those movies, right? His Joker, he wasn't the problem. It was like the studio interference in the movie and all that. in Morbius. He's not the problem. It's just the fact that they hired like a terrible director and a terrible writer, and like the production was bad. That's all. All the other stuff, except for Jared Leto. But I also got to put this on his agent. Like, you saw who was attached to this and you still went along with it. At some point, you're gonna have to be like, yo, I I think at this point he just needs to go to Marvel. If I'm Jared Leto, I would just go to Marvel and be like, all right, look, what roles you got left? And give him something. I don't know what role he would do well in right now, in Marvel, but he needs something else. Because it ain't working for him right now. And it's sad. It's sad. The Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 4 times higher than critic score. Where is it at here? All right, 16% with 174 reviews. That's not bad. Usually it's going to get around 300 or so. 16% rotten and 64% good from audiences. All right, let me just talk about this because some people were kind of getting on me on Twitter about it. I think that when movies get a lot of press, a lot of negative press, and y'all tell me if y'all have noticed this or not. I have. I notice this almost all the time, and I call it out whenever I can. Because I was saying on Twitter today, I was like, "Uh-oh, here comes the it's not that bad crowd." Because I told y'all that there's always like levels to this stuff, right? Movie comes out. The press get to see it early. They say it's terrible. And when the press say it's terrible, maybe even some fans might go see it. They say it's terrible. Then the people that actually get to see it on opening day or the day after or whatever, what always happens? Well, it wasn't that bad. Well, it was all right. It wasn't as bad as they said it was. But my question for you is, would you have come to that conclusion or would you have felt that had you never heard the negative reviews? Because we have to understand the power of expectations. You know, when you get lowered expectations, anything is good. Anything. If you have higher expectations, it's harder for that, satisfaction to be met. But if you go into a movie hearing that it is so bad, and you actually find out, like, it's all right. Well, guess what? When people say it's not that bad, it doesn't mean that it's good. It's still bad. It's not that bad means it's still bad. Like if someone said, well, they're not that ugly, but they're still ugly, right? Like it's not that salty. It's still salty. It's still the same thing. So, you know, this is why, like, I don't really put a lot of stock into this whole critics versus fans thing because the difference is the critics, you have to also think about it like this. Critics are going to go into a movie, hopefully, ideally, untainted. They should be going into a movie without knowing what anyone thinks. And for anyone that believes, like, oh, well, critics just want to ride the wave and pile on, for clout. No, they don't. Because I can tell you right now, no critics' reviews really go viral. Nobody really goes viral off of reviews. You know, some people actually, the one time you might hear a review go a little bit, beyond is if somebody says something spicy, right? And that's the thing. Usually you want to go against the grain, if you really want to clout chase. So if critics really were out here trying to be like, oh yeah, I want to get, more views and clicks, they'd be saying Morbius is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But they're not. Most of them so far, reputable critics. I'm not talking about any old YouTuber that just put up a video. I'm talking about people that actually put in this work in the industry. Most of them did not care for this movie. Like I said, because it's technically not good. And it's okay. We've talked about this too. You can enjoy a technically unsound movie. There are plenty of movies that we like that are put together horribly. And Morbius in this case is definitely going to be one of those movies, I think. But I feel as though people going to reap what they sow. They're going to reap what they sow, because if you keep giving money to Sony for these things, they're just going to keep giving you money. This is the same thing. Didn't we just talk about this with Transformers? People kept giving them bad movies money. They kept making them. There was no incentive to stop. There was no incentive to make them better, because it was rewarded with money. So I don't know. I don't know how y'all go, if that's what y'all want to do, like, go for it. But I am straight on that. I am straight on Morbius. Y'all can definitely go check out my review for it as well, though. I'm gonna need to, I don't know, hopefully if I'm up to it, I gotta jump on somebody's spoiler review or something, because there's too much stuff to talk about with the nonsense in this movie. Like, it's some nonsense. But anyway, how are y'all feeling about Morbius? Are you excited? Have you seen it? What have you thought about it? Please don't spoil it in the comments for those who haven't seen it yet. And what do you think about this divide between critics and fans? Do you think it is because of expectations? Um, when the expectations are lowered, that people are more prone to go against the grain? Because, by the way, the opposite happens too. When movies are overhyped, when movies are like really praised early on by critics, and then all of a sudden fans are like, man, this was overrated. It's almost like people just want to go against the grain sometimes. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Anyway, let me know what you think. My man Angel, I don't believe in nothing Sony makes at all. Well, I mean, thank you for that, sir. I mean, I've said for a long time, like, you got to look at the track record. Now I'm not gonna say that everything and anything Sony makes moving forward is going to be terrible from Sony, because I thought that for WB for a long time. Like, when they were doing everything and anything Snyderverse related, it was not that good to me. But then they came out with Joker, then they came out with Shazam, then they came out with Wonder Woman. I was like, oh, okay, like, these are actually good. These are good. So, like, it's not like, forever that these things are going to be terrible, but we also have to, like, now here's the other thing. We have to be careful, because when we reward mediocre to trashy movies, keep in mind that's how comic book movie fatigue actually happens, right? Because a lot of that fatigue happens when you have a string of terrible movies. That's why back in the 90s or early 2000s, we took a long break, or not even before. I'm talking about before that. So before Blade came around, we took a long break because we were getting a whole bunch of terrible comic book movies. So we're gonna have to be careful, because if you keep getting a lot of them, they're just gonna be terrible, and they're gonna keep giving you the same thing.
Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.